you've got the highs, you've got the lows, but then why did you move at this age? I felt that there was a story behind this, which if gone to the public in the right way, I think it makes a huge difference in terms of giving people that courage to pursue on their paths and not give up even if something doesn't sort of fall their way. He wants me to play for the country, right? So that's a very natural statement coming from a senior player that you should be on the field. Obviously, that is his side of the story.
I think with Unmukt, one thing we need to realize is that he became viral before social media emerged.
True.
He was trolled before trolling was a thing. And silently, gracefully, he suffered when mental health was not being spoken about.
Yeah. All right. We wish you a safe drive wherever you are listening to us. Really, really interesting documentary. It's called Unbroken. And it's directed by Raghav Khanna, who's a very prolific documentary filmmaker. Also has been involved with documentaries at Netflix for a while. Stellar filmography. And it's really the life and times of India's former under-19 captain Unmukt Chand. I've come away very moved, and I urge all of you who are listening or watching to go to PVR cinemas, the nearest PVR cinemas, check your local listings and go and watch this documentary, because very rarely do we find documentaries in theaters, and this has made it to the theaters. So remember, documentary Unbroken on Unmukt Chand, directed by Raghav Khanna. You must go and watch it. And it's such a privilege to have Unmukt as well as Raghav in studio. Hi guys, great to see you. Hi Unmukt, how are you?
Hey, very good. How are you?
Very well. Raghav.
Hey Rishi, good to be here.
I want to know when you gentlemen met first. How many years ago was it? Did you meet casually, or was it a very professional, I'm Raghav Khanna and I want to meet you, Unmukt, to do this?
This was 3.5 years ago. I had reached out to Unmukt after hearing about his retirement from Indian cricket. And he was in the US. I had gone there for some work. I went down assuming it'll be a 1-hour meeting, but his family was there in San Francisco. We ended up having lunch together and ended up spending the entire day together. What happened on that day, and I have clear, vivid memories of that day, is that we ended up forming a friendship. We set out on the right footing with a shared common vision for this story. And for any documentary, the relation you forge with your subject, that relation between the director and the subject is so critical, because it is one based on mutual trust and it is one based on close alignment. And I think that was the foundation stone for us to continue working together in such a close proximity for the next 2.5 years.
Unmukt, I want to understand how you were able to trust Raghav to tell your story, because from your perspective, it's a very tricky situation. I mean, here's a guy who's achieved all kinds of stardom and has seen all kinds of lows. You don't want to come across as being too much of a megastar, or at the other end of the spectrum, people to look at it and say, what a loser, because you're not either. You're a grounded cricket player. What I love is, you say at the end of the day, I'm here to play cricket. I will play cricket. And that's all that matters. I mean, it's like what I tell youngsters who walk through the door. Be passionate about radio. Listen to radio. Whether you listen to me or somebody else, doesn't matter. Be passionate about the medium. And that's what you are. How are you able to trust this man?
Well, when the move happened for me, it was again, I was very new into USA, and then when Raghav had approached me, he came there. So we sat together and he sort of discussed his plans with the documentary, and obviously, he had followed my journey before in India. And then he was surprised, like so many others, that why did I retire from Indian cricket at the age of 28? So, personally for me, again, I had gone there just to play cricket, right? Because I wasn't getting that many opportunities in India, and I thought that let's try out cricket in USA, because new doors were opening over there, the major league is coming, and all these things were happening. But I also realized when he sort of, that there was a story behind this, because there are so many cricketers in India who are not able to sort of make it to the top, because again, it's a very stiff
11
competition.
people
Exactly.
get to play for the country.
Yeah. So, I mean, because of this move, what it did is also opened a lot of doors for other people.
Yeah.
And again, it was a little, courageous if I look at it right now, because, cricket was just growing outside somewhere. But to also give a little hope, because, sometimes when you're living the journey, you don't sort of feel all those things. But as someone else, when they feel that, oh, you've got the highs, you've got the lows, but then why did you move at this age? I felt that there was a story behind this, which if gone to the public in the right way, I think it makes a huge difference in terms of giving people that courage to pursue on their paths and not give up even if something doesn't sort of fall their way. And that's the whole reason why I sort of trusted him, and also the passion I could see in him regarding this story was something which was amazing, and I thought that we can click on this one trait.
That's a beautiful answer. I love that Unmukt's family gets so much time in this particular documentary. His parents, his mother, his father, you just want to go through the screen and hug them. They're simple middle class parents. And for all of us simple middle class boys who didn't grow up in great mansions and grew up in small houses and sat on their father's scooters and bikes and went about our business, the inherent simplicity of those people, is just so beautiful to watch. And of course, like they always say that for a boy, it's either his mama or his chacha, who's almost like a best friend to him, and to meet the chacha and to meet the mother and the father. Did you instinctively know I have to place these three people and of course his wife at the center of my story? Or did you also do some research with some other friends? Like I know the journalist Vijay Lokapalli plays a very important part. My question to you is, how did you fix on the speakers who will provide or take the story forward?
The decision making on who are the voices who come in to tell the story first came from how I want to tell the story, which meant I wanted to tell an intimate and a personal account. Yes, it is Unmukt's story. Yes, it is a sports person's story. But at the end of the day, this is a story of someone who's trying to find a second lease in life, who's trying for that second chance. And that is a relatable emotion. When you make a film or a documentary on somebody's great once in a generation achievement, they are inspirational, they are not relatable. Here, from the onset, my idea was I need to make this relatable. So what you said, that when I met his parents, I could see shades of not only my parents but parents at large.
Yeah.
Same was with his uncle. For any parent, one of the most gutting feeling is to see your child falter and fail while you stand helplessly. And I think the subtext of it was visible in when I was talking to them. His chacha breaks down on the camera. That was not rigged. That was completely natural. And I remember that moment. I still get goosebumps thinking about it because I had welled up. My DOP had welled up because his intensity, his emotion was so strong, we could feel it while recording it. And Simran, of course, because another track that emerged for me was the immigrant identity. Unmukt moved overseas to play cricket, but the idea to move overseas for better pastures is again an extremely relatable emotion.
Yeah.
When you look at the Indian youth. Nobody leaves their house willfully. Very few do that. You leave it for better opportunities. You leave it because you want to improve your life. And this begins a cycle of mundane things which we otherwise take for granted in our comfort zone becoming a challenge. Now, how does that challenge weigh against your relation with your spouse, your partner? So that's also an undercurrent that we explore in this documentary.
It is wonderfully explored, might I add. Unmukt, were there some scenes that you had discussions with Raghav saying, should these be there and should these not be there? Let me explain. A very prominent part of the documentary is the great Kapil Dev on a panel with you, and it's shown twice, where he says loudly, if I was this boy's coach and caretaker, he would not be here today. He would be out fielding, whatever, practicing, whatever. Almost as though implying that you're not disciplined enough. I don't know, if I was in his place, if I was Unmukt Chand, I might have said, Raghav, take that out. It shows me in a poor light. And then I'm thinking, Unmukt Chand let this stay. He must be a brave man.
So to before Unmukt answers this, when we decided to do this, one agreement we reached was that this will be editorially independent, because as a filmmaker, I will not tell a story, and that this is not with Unmukt, it could be with the biggest of stars. I'll not tell a story if I have guardrails to watch out for. I want to ask uncomfortable questions and I want brave, uncomfortable answers. And
Now,
thanks to his family and him for
did you for a moment think that maybe that the couple portion shouldn't be there? I don't know.
See, I think it got blown out of proportion even when it happened
Yeah.
that time. And personally, for me, see, I'm not a person who complains about things or who feels like a victim, victimized.
Yeah,
because
I love
of
that about you.
stuff happened.
I can make that out in the documentary.
I
You never
yeah.
think poor old me.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
So rather, I think of it like, obviously coming from a senior, and this we are talking about 2013, right? Back then, coming from a senior, he wants me to play for the country, right? So that's a very natural statement coming from a senior player that you should be on the field. Obviously, that is his side of the story. My side of the story is that obviously I had come from practice. I was doing this and then I'll again go back to practice. So my
Sure.
practice doesn't go up and down because of this. It's only for an hour I had just come for this. So again, I would like to take it in a positive light, and rather than sort of thinking of it like the couples are went after me like this. I understand his emotion behind what he said. So I mean, as long as I am okay with it, it's fine.
Mm.
It doesn't make a difference. I mean, even people can make so many things out of it. Not me personally.
Because you, as a sports lover, Raghav, you worry about your idols because you're so invested in them. I remember when Unmukt, and for those of you living under a rock, and Gen Z who doesn't know this, Unmukt Chand was captain of India's under-19 team. He had 100 against Australia in the most tenacious, wonderful manner, and he was the toast of not only the town, the country, and known worldwide for his exploits at the school level, and then of course the under-19 level. And even by the time he was 12 or 13, he was boxing above his weight. He was playing the under-15s when he could have played the under-12s, under-13s. He was playing the under-19s when he could be playing the under-15s. So terrific achiever. And you worry that the Vinod Kambli syndrome doesn't happen. Because, we all saw Kambli, even if we didn't live through that era, you saw recorded footage of how people kept saying Sachin and Vinod were as talented as each other, and then Vinod went downhill. And, to Unmukt's credit, that's not there because he's really kept his mind strong. Would you say that's a combination of meditation, I don't know, prayer, family support? What kept you mentally strong through the lowest of your lows?
I think all these things come together. First of all, yes, family support is big because especially when you're growing up, you become matured with time. But I feel that when you have the support of the right people, you don't sort of do things out of the blue. And again, meditation is part of that. Diary writing is part of that. Having those people you can trust and who tell you the right things to do is part of that. So I think all these things sort of have made my personality over the years, and this has always helped me stay grounded, not get too far ahead of myself. Obviously, I've had challenges in terms of things not working in my favor, but I can proudly say that whenever it has come to practices, it could be different reasons for different people though. But for me personally, my practice has always gone up. It hasn't sort of gone down. But still, I mean, even sometimes you try to do the best, whatever you try to do, but still things don't happen for you. So it could be, destiny. You can, put it down to so many other things. But I think I put my best foot forward and try to do the best I could.
You also have to do a fair amount of research, not just talking to the family and to the subject himself, which in this case is Unmukt, but also do your independent research.
absolutely.
I mean, and figure out, hey, wow. So he plays for Delhi, and then he goes and plays for Uttarakhand, and then he plays IPL, yada 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 yada. Then he plays the Big Bash for a bit and things like that. During the course of your research, what is it that you found most fascinating? Which phase of his life do you find most fascinating?
One thing I still do not have an answer to. Unmukt, 19-year-old, the way he played that innings against Australia. Why was not he in the next Indian side? I don't have an answer to that. I don't think anybody has an answer to that. We've seen other legends of the game who've had under 19 exploits, and that's your fast track ticket to the senior team. And you're given a rope that, you are a prodigious talent and we'll support you, we'll back you, you will come of age, you will spread your wings. Unmukt was rightly deserving of that chance. Obviously, one thing that we were very clear about, and I personally paid double attention to that, is that we didn't want to voice anything that is controversial or heavily opinionated without facts. So you'll see a strong part of the documentary is statistics come, and when they come in black and white. You could interpret them either way. So there is a way you can lean in to say that, okay, there is performances, but maybe not great enough that you can immediately fast track this guy, or you say that, okay, there are scores, but then there are no scores as well. I think with Unmukt, one thing we need to realize is that he became viral before social media emerged.
True.
He was trolled before trolling was a thing. And silently, gracefully, he suffered when mental health was not being spoken about.
Yeah. Very well put. Extremely well put. Yeah, there are these scrolls of scores, Ranji scores, where you go, this is match. Then you go, I think after you went to Uttarakhand, you again go, these is matches. Would you at any point of time, and Unmukt, you can take this, think that the selection or the selectors or the selection process for Delhi and for the national squad should be highlighted in this documentary? Or did you say, no, let it just be my story? Why do I need to talk about selection and selectors and things like that?
See, I've always stayed away from these things, from these discussions in terms of why certain things happened, why certain things did not happen. I feel as a cricketer, as a sportsman by heart, my role is to keep scoring more runs. If I don't get picked by scoring 500 runs, my aim should be to score 700 runs next year. I could get picked at 500 also. I could not get picked at 700 also, because that's how the game is right now in terms of you need to have the spots available first of all. Secondly, there need to be so many things which need to align together.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to playing for India. So if those things don't align sometimes, then things don't happen for you. And there are so many examples of so many good players who could have played for India but did not because of again these small factors. So I mean, putting a blame on someone else or highlighting those things won't really do good. I mean, I still feel as a sportsman, my responsibility is to keep scoring runs and not talk about these things, because also what is happening nowadays, when I listen to parents of kids who are under 15, under 17, in state teams, they talk about politics. They talk about, okay, how do you play for this team, Delhi team or that team? So we need to sort of change that mindset. We need to make sure that at least they are not talking about this. They are just talking about how do I get better, than focusing on other things. So that's why I don't want to talk about these things, because it sort of just puts there's no difference then between us as sportsmen and then other things which sort of surround the sport at times.
We were talking off the mic about this, Raghav, and I gave Amol Mujumdar's example. A friend of mine made mountains of runs for Mumbai but never made the national team because you had Dravid, Lakshman, Saurav Ganguly, Sachin Tendulkar, very packed middle order. How do you replace any of them? Likewise, in an earlier era, Padmakar Shivalkar and Rajinder Goel, spinners for Mumbai and Haryana respectively, over 500, 600, 700 wickets in Ranji cricket, but never made it to the India squad because of the presence of Bedi, Chandrasekhar, Prasanna and Venkatraghavan, the quartet of spinners. But in Unmukt's case, and you just said that a couple of minutes ago, you said after the World Cup, you have no answer, which is why I asked the selectors question. He's made it very clear that he wanted to stay away from any kind of controversial terrain. But you never thought that your documentary should have a bit of that at some point in time?
So we did interview Bhaskar Pillai, who was instrumental in the selection for players in Delhi at one point. And we've kept the portions, his point of view and a board's point of view. So, see, eventually it all boils down to a stroke of luck also, which is beyond our control. You could be the most punctual person, and on that fateful day when you have an interview after clearing 5 previous rounds, you're late half an hour. Previous 5 times you were not. You were always on time. Just that one day you're late half an hour. That shapes your life. So I think there is what I realized in Unmukt's story is that there is that element which is beyond your control. and that can sober you, and that can also give you immense gratitude and a deeper rooting, which I can see in Unmukt. But with regards to the selection panel, I'm no expert on the selection panel, and I'm sure the way this country's cricket is managed, we are one of the most widespread, expansive, most prominent cricket playing nations in the world right now. So it's a machinery. It's a very well-oiled machinery that works, and the influx is so much. If you see the first 20 minutes of the documentary, one thing I wanted to bring out in an entertaining manner is that the journey from that gully or that terrace top all the way to a professional stadium, that is a relatable part for all of us, because most of us have not played competitive cricket, but most of us relate to the emotion of playing afternoon and evening cricket or post office cricket, which eventually feeds into this entire euphoria that is around this game in this country.
I love that, Unmukt, your early life is also so beautifully documented, especially the portion when your parents, your chacha, are looking for the right school to put you in. And modern school, Barakamba Road, we know is, an elitist school in Delhi. And all of us middle class boys have gone through a phase in our life when our parents have to stretch their means and say, oh my God, the child deserves a convent education. He's got to speak great English. Or in your case, got to have the right cricket team, and they put you in there. And you're surrounded by the affluent and the very wealthy. And I'm like, how did that kid of what, you were 12 or 13, put up with that? Because it can either break you or make you. So I'm just curious to know, you want to just jog your memory and think of all the rich kids you were surrounded by and how you managed to stay away from the peer pressure.
Yeah, so this was a big debate which was happening at home because I was in DPS Noida before that till 8th. And then obviously school cricket was something which was very big during our times. And I thought that, we all thought that together that I need to be in a school where we have better opportunities, more competitive cricket. So we had a couple of options. We had DPS Arkipuram, DPS Mathura Road, Modern School, Barakamba Road, Sudha Patel. And eventually we pinpointed Modern School, Barakamba Road, because of, again, a couple of guys from our school were already playing under 15 state for Delhi. So it was the right place to go for me. And then my principal had asked me the same question while my interview was going on, that you come from your parents are teachers. You're going to come here. How are you going to balance your cricket studies and also sort of manage all these, your kids, the kids are rich kids. My answer that time was, ma'am, these are all the obstacles that will be coming in my way. And my focus here is to play cricket and do well. And if I sort of get distracted, these are all the distractions which I need to stay away from and just focus on that. And she was so surprised that it was ninth, eighth that time. Such a mature response was coming from me that she was like, instantly she got so attached to me and she got me to the school. Yes, initially it was a very different experience for me when I went to modern school because everything was big. No one. We had a scooter that time. I already
And you
didn't
never
even have a
got off
car.
a BMW or a Mercedes.
Exactly. Yeah. So you don't see anything less than that over there. After school, after exams, we used to go for a movie when I was back in DPS. Now they go to Mashan. They go to Bukhara's for lunches and dinner. So it's a total different experience. But yeah, it took me time to understand what this is happening, and I realized that this is not me. So my focus became even more clearer because I understood that this all part does not belong to me. I don't belong to all these things right now. And then obviously I started playing more cricket. I was always practicing. I was always in the class. Sometimes I was the only one in the class. We had a class of 60 in humanities section, and all of them were bunking. I used to be the ones who was in the class because I had to go for my practices in the evening, so I couldn't afford to miss my classes. But then that sort of became my life. I started enjoying it. I got more serious into cricket, and then that was a big game changer for me. I really feel that going to modern school was the biggest game changer for me.
Wasn't Gautam Gambhir also from there? The modern
Yes,
school Barakamba
yes,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah. When you spoke to his coach, I've forgotten the gentleman's name.
Sanjay Bharadwaj.
Sanjay Bharadwaj. Yeah. What is the sense that you got from the coach? Obviously there is a sense of pride that he had trained Unmukt. But anything that you came away with saying, did the coach ever say Unmukt lacked this? Coaches sometimes do that.
So what I realized, because I spoke to Sanjay ji in the absence of Unmukt most of the time. And I could immediately figure that at one point they shared a mentor-mentee, almost like a father figure relation with him. And obviously he was proud of his exploits earlier, but what you could see is that he knew how much talent Unmukt has, and a lot of it has not gone recognized and utilized to its full potential. Because he told me one thing, and that I can't get rid of even when I think about it, and that was true for Unmukt and even Gambhir. He coached Gautam Gambhir, is that he's like, my role is of a gardener. So when a flower blossoms, I feel happy. And in Unmukt's case, only one flower blossomed while 10 could have. Something like that he said. And that was off camera, and in the way in which he said it was just so beautiful.
94.3 Radio 1.